Hi, I'm Regan Jones, and we've developed an app called 1 Minute Closer. So 1 Minute Closer started as a solution for me and my ex-wife actually. I couldn't find a way to effectively communicate and show her when I was going to be home with kids and bits and pieces, and my friends kept on constantly asking me, when are you going to be home? And working FIFO for a number of years, I couldn't find a solution to it, so I decided to develop an app. I am the most non-technical IT person anyone's ever met. So before I started in this app startup world, I knew an app is a square block on your phone, and realistically that's all I knew about them. Steep learning curve, because I had to start learning the terminology behind what my developers were talking about and ask the right questions. But that's why I have an expert development team. I guess one of the biggest things I've learned about this process is, I came up with the idea because I had the problem, and the people I work with have the same problem, and I employ experts to solve that. Working with external people is always a challenge. So I guess that communication barrier with me, knowing what I want and trying to communicate that to someone who hasn't worked in the industry before, hasn't lived a FIFO life, is hard. I started offshore, and the language barrier and communication was too much to overcome. I do this in my spare time, so I actually have a day job, and the challenges around timeframes, time zones, and language barriers was too much to overcome. So came back to Australia, found some guys based in Melbourne who seemed to be on the same page, very easy to communicate, and stay with those guys. They're available pretty much whenever I need to speak to them, especially during the development stage. We did a lot of remote workshopping, development planning, that kind of stuff, which wouldn't have been possible with an overseas developer. And just the service skill too, the service level. If I went offshore, it was purely a programming level. So this was basically next level up, some integrated marketing, communication stuff, that kind of thing. The biggest struggle I had was justifying the investment, to be honest. So, this kind of app, it's a free app. It's not used by, well, not yet, it's not used by big companies. It's basically targeted at individuals at this stage. We've got plans to change that. But to invest such a large amount of personal money in something that is not going to make you anything in the short to medium term is a really, really tough decision. Especially with family, that kind of thing, you go around in circles justifying it. That was a big struggle for me. The next struggle, I guess, was getting what was in here to a phone. That gap was a lot bigger bridge to build than I thought it was going to be. I knew what I wanted, I could see it, I knew what I needed to have, I knew the features, and not knowing app capabilities and programming and language, that gap was a lot, it was a big gap to jump. To start with, I was very protective. I didn't want to talk to people about it. I didn't want to get feedback about how good the idea was. I knew it was a good idea, and I knew it solved my problem, but did it solve other people's problems? I didn't want to go out there and ask, because I was not so much paranoid, but about the whole, will they steal my idea? Will they go and make it work? But I guess the biggest lesson I've learned over the last 18 months is, I had this idea, and probably a million people have had it before, but I've actually taken the steps to go and make it happen, and a lot of people don't do that, and a lot of people don't know how to do that. So I guess that's the biggest lesson for me, is if you have an idea and you think it's a good one, share it, brainstorm it, get other people's input, because I think you got to trust, especially your friends and colleagues, that their nature is they want to help you, not be guarded. Yeah, so the startup landscape changed for me, I guess, being a first-time IT app startup person. I've never really experienced it before, but it's been quite a hard slog, I guess, for me, not being an IT person. But there's a lot of programs now, and I know schools are doing it. So there's a school in Brisbane doing an entrepreneurs club, and they're teaching their students what it is to do lean startup. And they're introducing them to that lean startup land. They're going to places like River City Labs to do field trips, and they're experiencing firsthand the challenges of starting a business and starting a venture. I actually went and talked to a group of these students a few weeks ago, and their enthusiasm is unbelievable, but it's the stuff that I was never exposed to. I'm only exposed to it now. So I think those kind of initiatives are going to help this generation probably be more confident in startups, and probably strategize them a lot better. The technological evolution through, from when I was at school to now, and to when my kid's going to be at high school, to they're going to be my age, is going to be incredible. And I think a lot of opportunity there in a really, really dynamic place. I'm not a big one for motivational memes, but one I really, really like is, it's on top of my desk at work. It's a picture of Steve Jobs, and it says, life isn't supposed to be fair, get used to it. That for me is basically my center point, because every time I sort of know this isn't fair, this is not working, why isn't it working? It's like, well, it's not meant to be. It's not meant to be easy. If I want something, I've got to go work for it. It's just a little reminder for me that, the more I want it, the harder it's going to be.